people out there how it is you got to be the person that we see in front of us, you know? What is the reason that you are in the UK? You've been flown over here. You know, what makes you DJ Bone?
What makes me DJ Bone is basically I refuse to sound like anyone else. I refuse to abide by any set rules. I just do whatever I think feels right and don't even question it and just deal with the repercussions.
See, that was going to be my second question.
Yeah.
As in, how's that affected you? You know, how's that's obviously moulded you and shaped you.
Yeah.
As a conscious decision you made, you were like, I see all these other people doing what they're doing and I just want to deliberately be different or just be...
Deliberately, yeah. Well, the thing is, in Detroit, I was inspired by the radio, by, you know, Electrifying Mojo. I know a lot of people heard the stories about Electrifying Mojo, but...
He was Detroit Public Radio?
Yeah, he was the first DJ in the US to have a free format. So basically, he could play whatever he wanted.
Excellent.
So with all this clear channel shit and all this stuff going on right now, that's monumental.
I've read about that. Yeah, he just could.
Yeah.
He was blowing, like a lot of the early what you call techno pioneers. He was blowing their minds with like Kraftwerk and
Kraftwerk.
Early electronic music. That people had never.
Larry Graham and Shaka Khan, you know, B-52s and Depeche Mode, New Order, anything that was white that Detroit people had never heard of.
So cool.
They heard through Mojo.
Yeah.
So he introduced us to things that we could never basically reach ourselves. So we couldn't go to London, we couldn't go, you know, to Europe. So he brought the music to us.
Do you know how he got his hands on that kind of stuff?
I don't know.
He just did.
Well, I guess he's probably the original, you know, Detroit digging in the crates. But, you know, he scoured the planet for the best music possible.
Amazing.
Which is rare nowadays because everybody gets a million promos and then they just choose the best of the worst. So he would get Prince albums and play it in its entirety and tell us, get your cassette decks, get your tapes ready to record it. Because it was an exclusive and Prince was the one who would tell them, you know, play this for your listeners.
That's fantastic.
I mean, the city would be off the hook. The whole city would blink. At midnight, when Midnight Funk Association, he called it, he would say, if you're in your car, blink your headlights. If you're at home, turn your porch light on and off, and the whole city would just blink.
We've had a few, you know, really famous radio DJs here in Manchester who've done similar stuff. That's fantastic, isn't it? Like,
yeah, man.
I'll give a big up to Stu Allen, really. You know, he used to play some good hip hop stuff and some early techno stuff. That's where I first heard.
Because it's got to be the reverse over here, where they introduce you to the American stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, it's a mixture, like we were talking before. It's a hybrid of American stuff, European stuff, and UK stuff. And a lot of it was people sampling hip hop records, but putting it into house stuff. Well, not even house, it was called hardcore back then, those days. I mean, I remember hearing a story about Derek May coming to the Hacienda, and he came one time and he played, and it wasn't very well received, it wasn't that busy. And then he came back like 18 months later, and the place was absolutely rocking, but nobody acknowledged it as being an American music. They all thought it was their own music. Obviously, just not for anyone, it's just, you know, for England, because what happened is so many people had heard the American sound, and then took it for their own, sampled American records, sampled
the history of music.
Yeah.
And history of music is, okay, let me tell you history of music. Black people make some funky shit. White people try their best to copy it.
And then it gets played again over.
They can't, and they say, well, this is as close as we got, we're gonna put it out. Now, I'm not saying all white people are guilty. I'm not saying that all, you know, great music is black. But what I'm saying is, Rolling Stones, Elvis Presley, all this stuff,
it's black music.
It's difference between being inspired and copying. There are people who tried to copy, I mean, honestly, the Beatles, Rolling Stones, and they said it themselves. We were trying to sound like these guys, and we couldn't do it.
Well, the Rolling Stones went to Chess Records, and the person they were the best, that they were most stoked about seeing was Muddy Waters.
Yes.
But to their credit, they then booked Muddy Waters about 5 years later.
Exactly.
They were the people who brought him to the
that's respect. That's why they get respected in the USA. That's why they have such a longevity in the United States forever.
And they also have ethnic vibes and stuff like that.
Forever, because they they were inspired by Muddy Waters, and they showed that by bringing him here. A lot of people just say, okay, we saw this guy Muddy Waters, we're gonna take what he was doing and try and do it ourselves. Yeah. And then they come up with a lesser version.
There's a name for those people though.
What?
Motherfuckers.
Yeah, well,
I'll say it on camera. It's a late night show. Tell me how it is, man.
And they take the sound they have, which isn't complete, and they run with it. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's almost like the minimal shit.
How on the flip side though, let me just interject there. On the flip side, Kraftwerk,
yeah,
New Order.
But come on,
that's on the flip. There's white guys, and you guys are.
What we did is we added some funk to that shit.
Yeah, come on, man.
We enhanced it.
It works both ways. I know what you're saying. It does work both ways.
But Kraftwerk didn't have the same. Think about it. When you hear a Kraftwerk track, you can tell people were inspired by Kraftwerk, but it's not as funky as a Juan Atkins record. Yeah. There's no way in hell. Clear? Yeah. Cosmic Cars?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
Of course, I'm not
so when you hear something that inspires you, that's cool. So when I hear Juan Atkins, when I heard those early records of Cybertron, I didn't hear Kraftwerk. Right. That's the difference.
Yeah, no.
I didn't hear a lesser version of Kraftwerk.
Because he's amalgamating his
own musical an enhanced version of something I'd never heard before.
He still took inspiration from that place.
Do you know that when we heard that in Detroit, me, all my friends, we all thought it was somebody from Japan. We didn't think it was somebody in Detroit. Because it was electronic, and Detroit was not an electronic city. Yeah. It was a soulful Motown acoustic, you know, vocal, you know, pimped out, you know.
Really nice.
Your car has to match your clothes kind of city. And to hear that, we didn't even think twice. We're like, it's not in Detroit. No way. So when Mojo played it and then he announced it, we were like, what? So everybody wanted to seek out who is Juan Atkins, who is Cybertron, who is Inner City, you know, what is this?
Yeah.
And it was some black, soulful shit. And put it this way, and it's funny because people kind of think that I have this chip on my shoulder about black music. I do, because there are so many people who have created sounds who don't get appreciated. You know, and it's both ways. Look at jazz. It came out of distress. It came out of, you know, Harvey. You had the Harlem era and everything. You had the New Orleans, but it wouldn't be appreciated in America. So they had to come where? To England. They had to come to England. They had to come to France, to Switzerland. So you guys embraced it, and then
my granddad was a huge jazz fan.
And then it could filter back into America. So I'm not always, you know, trying to down Europe or white people. What I'm trying to do is down people not appreciating the roots of our music.
Exploitation. That's it. That's what you're trying to down.
But nowadays it's controllable.
It's almost role reversal now these days. You know?
Well, it's controllable now. So now it's up to the artist. So now I blame the artist. If he lets somebody exploit him, then fuck it. You know, that's what he gets. It's all about your perspective. You know, for you are happy. It's the same way I look at electronic music. If someone in Europe, for the most part, I can't generalize say everyone, but for the most part, if someone in Europe makes a track and it sounds like Jeff Mills, they're ecstatic. They're happy. Yeah. They run with it. They get a promotion company and they say, hey, we gotta market this. We gotta run with it. It's just like Jeff Mills. And then they'll say, it's Detroit-like, it's Detroit-esque, it's Detroit-inspired. But if somebody from Detroit makes something that sounds like Jeff Mills, they throw it in the garbage. You know why? No disrespect to Jeff. They don't want to sound like Jeff because Jeff is an entity. And KDJ is an entity, and you are, and DJ Bone, and Claude Young, and all these people are entities. So we want to be individuals, but then we get upset because then we run up against this brick wall like Jeff did. That's why people wonder why he's DJing on his knees on New Year's Eve and doing all this UFO stuff. Because he ran into a brick wall of people who were actually adamantly trying to come to Detroit. I've seen these guys come to Detroit, take notes, and document what these guys are doing, what we're doing, how you're making it, what's in your studio, and copy it.
Yeah, that's so that blatant news.
So that waters down.
If any of you people ever see this interview, I will find you, I will hunt you down, I will find out where you live. Don't do it, be original. It's important, man.
I put that on my Facebook the other day, I put be original.
Be original.
But it doesn't bug me. It doesn't bug me. I read an interview from one of my favorite artists, Prince, and it was funny because people are complaining, you know, about being sampled, and there were people who, you know, he listened to, and he's like, I usually respect these artists, but they were complaining about being sampled and this and that, and somebody's biting their style. He's like, but they've been biting my style. He's like, so all I can tell you is stop complaining and just alter what you're doing and rise above it and progress.
Personally, I think it's negativity. I just don't. I take it as a compliment, really, if someone was biting my style. That means you made it.
It's a huge compliment.
And yeah, and also, you know, it then gives you, then pushes you to then try and rise above what you've already done and do something even better. So the more people are going to try and bite you, and the more people that bite you, the better you are.
See?
If no one's biting your shit, you fucking whack.
Because you know why? Like we had drinks earlier. Yeah. We were just, you know, sitting around talking. You know why I can kick it and I enjoy the company of Ben Sims is because when he came with his sound, when he came with his style, a lot of people are trying to, you know, meet him at the crossroads and say, okay, I think I can do your style better than you. But I've never seen one interview where he's like, fuck this guy, fuck that guy, he's trying to come. He doesn't complain. I notice people who never complain. He just says, you know what, I'm dope and I can be doper. So watch my dust and enjoy it. And that's what I'm talking about. I have so much of my heart into it that I have to say something, which is cool,
is your forum, man.
But it's a detriment at the same time. I've learned to hold my tongue for certain, you know, certain categories or whatever, you know, because I know in the end it'll all work out.
Yeah.
But I still like people to know the truth.
Yeah, totally.
That's my thing.
I think ignorance is a big thing. I'm very much loving hate out, you know, but I do think, yeah, you're right, you need to fight ignorance, I think, is the thing. Yeah. And at least, if you sample somebody, at least credit them. That's at least you
have to. Nowadays, you gotta credit somebody, because they'll come after you. But, you know, like we talked about earlier, if you're trying to get their attention, the best thing you can do is sample them.
Yeah. Look at fucking, excuse me, look at Jason Nevins. Look at Jason Nevins.
Hey.
We all not have the Jason Nevins, yeah? And he bitched the fact that he only got paid $1,000 for that remix. He bitched and he bitched and he bitched. But that I think that's why he went up and went straight down. Yeah. He put him straight on the map. He had his time and he bitched so much. He was so preoccupied with the badness of that situation without looking at, hey, I'm up here getting now 10,000 euro, dollars, and he went straight down. That's why who's ever heard of Jason Nevins?
Oh, because he never had if he had a style of his own that he could bring to the table, then
I think he did. I mean, his beats were pretty, but I know what you're saying.
But he didn't stick with it. That's
when one of the MC heard that, they actually thought it was a DJ mix. Oh. Yeah, they actually heard. I heard the interview. They actually thought it was just a DJ mix, and the record label gave him $1,000 for that thing. They said, I would probably never use it. Then it went to #1 in like 15 countries around the world. I mean, and he must be like, dope. But all he did, he got like, I remember at the time I was on all the big promo lists, he got loads of remixes, but all he did in the interviews was complain about the fact that he should have got $20,000, $100,000 for his remix. And do you know what? If you just hang that whole load of negativity around you and complain, where are you going? You're going one way.
Well, if you're great, you can be great again.
Exactly. So, yeah. Well, I've never heard of him for a while. Maybe he changed his name and we don't even know. Maybe he put out a track with a little buzzing on.
You just gotta work hard. I mean, you know, you gotta work hard. That's why the Detroit mentality is to be original as possible, and to work your ass off and be known for you.
Yeah.
Not be known for, you know, anything but you.
I love it, originality. It's fantastic.
Music control. Music control. Music control. It's the beat we control.
So we need to know a little bit more about Bone. We've philosophized. So how did you get into what you're doing? You know, you listen to the radio. How did your first DJ gig come around?
I listened to the radio. Started hearing some different kind of music. And a bunch of friends who told me about this place called the Music Institute, and they said there was techno there. I didn't know what techno was, and I was too young to get in, so we would sneak in the back or pay the bouncer to let us in the back. Go in there, and it was a pitch black room, one strobe light, and sound. That was it. And you would be there until the sun came up, but there's no windows. On the second floor there were windows. So only way you would know that the sun is up is if you go upstairs. And the feeling you got from that night, from the music, no, not many words, maybe a few snippets here and there or vocal stabs, but the vibe was ridiculous. So you felt like, I don't know, like maybe somebody after you go to the spa or after you meditate or something, it was like church, you know. There was no drugs. They didn't tolerate that.
That's the big thing between the UK and the US.
They did not.
A lot of people
tolerate
I see in the US, it's just about music, it's not about drugs. A lot of it in the UK gets mixed in with drugs.
Well, the thing is, I'm not mad at the UK people because
we have our own experience.
The reason you guys were getting all jacked up was because you wanted to dance all night.
Yeah.
You know, in America it's different. In America they get
Black Americans, you're very like religious anyway, so it was more of a spiritual thing.
Yeah.
People.
The music was the drug.
Yeah.
And
I really respect that being from the UK.
But see, it happens very rarely. It happened in Chicago, it happened in New York, it happened in Detroit. And those are moments in time where it can't be repeated, and it's just something that if you were lucky enough to witness it, then it happened. I was extremely lucky. I mean, I was listening to French Kiss off of Reel to Reel. You know, Derek May's doing what everybody thought was a backspin, but he's just rewinding the reel. They had a reel to reel in there.
It's amazing.
It was crazy. So
I've seen guys scratch off that, you know.
Yeah, to rock the reel.
Yeah, just in Kosovo and stuff where they had no money. They couldn't afford turntables, so they were like cutting on reel to reels.
So
Mate, I love it.
You go to a night like that, it inspires you, so you want to go find out where the music comes from. And it was all on vinyl. So that let me know I have to buy turntables. So I bought turntables, old school techniques with the belt, you know, and every time I slip off I have to take it apart and put the belt back on. But I would just practice 6 hours a day. Practice with a Numark mixer with no faders. It just had a toggle switch. And that was it. So on the cheapest stuff I could get was how I honed my skills. And then I'd make a tape because I got sick of inviting people over to hear it. I'm like, man, you know, I'm gonna record it, you can listen to it at your leisure. So next thing you know, somebody else is like, hey, can I get a tape? Can I get a tape? So I started selling tapes. Then a tape, Thomas Barnett, who did Nude Photo.
Right, yeah.
Took a tape to a promoter and he was looking for a resident. Gave it to him and the guy was like, yeah, I want this guy to come down. So I came down and I had this, you know, recycling bin full of records, milk crates and stuff. And I played a techno set, you know, house and techno. And it was cool, you know, I played like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And he said, yeah, you know anybody else? Because I'm looking for, you know, somebody play hip hop and that. I said, well, okay, next week I'll bring them. So next week I just showed up with twice as many records. Yeah. Because I started off playing hip hop until I found techno.
Right.
But the thing was, I couldn't make any money playing hip hop in Detroit because there were no hip hop clubs at the time. And I was spending anywhere from 50 to 100 bucks a week on records. You got to make it back. I didn't want to make money. I wanted to pay for my records. You know, so hip hop couldn't do it. So I started playing more and more house and techno. And I got hired in as a resident at this place called The Shelter.
Right.
And was doing the night, and I would play from midnight until 4. And I could play hip hop all the way to house, to techno, to breakbeat. And I would even break it down in the last half hour of the night and play really slow stuff when Enigma had just come out. I was mixing Art of Noise with Enigma, with some kind of crazy Madonna remix. Just really slow, sexy.
Love it.
And people on the floor just getting all freaky. So the guy who owned the joint was like, this is great, this is great. But that's how it started for me. And then people would come there, and I met D. Wynn that way, I met Richie Houghton that way. And they would ask me to come play a party.
Music control.
We had an anniversary for the night, and Laurent Garnier came, and he played. And it's true Detroit style. We have Laurent come in, and the monitors don't work.
No way.
So he plays. I didn't even know.
With no monitors?
No monitors. He plays. So Kenny Larkin comes on after him, plays like 2 or 3 songs. He goes, takes his headphones off. He's like, man, I can't do this.
But Laurent had already played for like 2 hours. Yeah,
and I'm like, what are you talking about? So I get it, and I'm like, oh crap, there's no monitor. So I played, no big deal. So when I'm finished, Laurent looks at me, he's like, how did you play with no monitor? And I said, how did you play? No monitor.
Same.
So Mad Mike formally introduces us. We go eat, and he's like, look, you know, I gotta talk to you, you know, let's go have lunch tomorrow. So we go to lunch, and he's like, you don't understand. He's like, you can, he's like, because I was just a kid.
Who's talking to you now, Laurent?
Laurent.
Right.
I was maybe 20. I was 19. I was in America. I was too young to drink in a club.
Right.
So I was
there spinning.
and I was bringing in my own booze, you know, sneaking it in. And sorry, Mom. But I was bringing in my own booze.
It all comes out in the end. It all comes out in the wash, man.
And they didn't care, you know what I mean? But what he told me was, I was going to school full time. I was working full time, and I was just making extra money doing something I love on the weekends. You know, I was just happy to actually make money to balance out my records.
Yeah.
And he told me, he said, you don't understand, if you come to Europe, you can do this for a living. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, yeah, right. You know? He goes, no, seriously. So I said, okay, you know, whatever. So a month goes by, a couple of months go by, then I get a call, and it's Laurent. And he says, look, I'm coming back to Detroit to play a gig. I told them, if you don't play, I'm not coming. And I was like, whoa. And this is at the time where they would book me, but they'd say, oh, do you want to play the after party?
Yeah.
Because I was a kid, you know. We got Chamdal, all these, you know, heavy hitters, Eddie Crowe. So they moved me to the main party. I'm like, cool. So unfortunately, that party where Laurent was playing, somebody got shot. This girl got shot. But out of that,
well, listen, it's not all that bad. They used to call this place Gunchester.
No.
It's okay, yeah. No, we got over it. Did you guys get over it?
Gamechester, yeah.
Gunchester.
Oh.
They used to be called Gunchester.
So
in the dark days, but we did get over it. So we got shot.
Well, yeah, so this girl got shot outside the party. There was a dispute about security and who was supposed to be running it. But I talked to him the next day, and he ended up booking me to come play the Rex Club and to play some other parties. And if it wasn't for him, you know, sad but true, you know, nobody in Detroit was trying to help me get overseas or to make a career out of what I was doing. He single-handedly was the one who said, look, you know, you need to get your ass over here, play this party, make some money, you know, rock it like you did in Detroit, and then you're all good. So I came, he had me on the radio, and he was telling people, look, you know, I play Detroit records, but if you want to hear real Detroit, you come tonight. The place was packed. I'd never seen anything like that in my life.
That's amazing.
I go from Detroit to $75, you know, on a weekend night, to a couple thousand, playing in front of 10 times the amount of people. And I was like, oh, I didn't have to pay for my dinner. I was young. I had to pay for my dinner, I had to pay for my hotel. So from that, I knew that if that was the case, then this is what I wanted to do.
Well, people who watch this thing will know I've talked about Laurent Garnier quite a lot. He's a bit of a hero of mine. Hopefully we'll get him on the show, but you know, big ups to Laurent for that. I love people like that. I love people that go around and they don't just think about themselves, you know, they see talent and they nurture it, because that's a lot of what it's about, you know. A lot of people go around and try and suppress talent to their own detriment. They do, man, I've seen it.
I know.
You know, and I think it's beautiful that someone can go around, and obviously he's Laurent Garnier, and he started, not sure if you all know about this, Laurent Garnier was the chef at the Hacienda.
Yeah.
Before he started DJing, he used to serve up baguettes at the Hacienda. We love you, Laurent, especially in Manchester.
Come on, LG, you gotta come talk to me.
Yeah, man, come on. So that's you know, again, I've talked about him in a lot of interviews. He's been a big inspiration of mine. That's fantastic to hear.
He's huge.
I love people, you know, who go around and instead of trying to suppress the competition, try and nurture stuff.
Because that means that they're confident in their skills.
Yeah, you know, the top of the game. But also just good people. You know,
Man, I've never had any. There's a few people, you know, from Detroit who are like that, and they've supported me, you know. But in Europe, it's rare. Like you said, either somebody was a copy or want to take advantage of it, exploit you. With Ben, with Laurent, with Dave Clark, I've got nothing but love. They've never said, oh, you know, I'm not trying to play with DJ. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Same with Juan, you know, Matt Mike would, I wasn't a UR DJ. Matt Mike would ask me to be UR DJ, and I had progressed so much in my career that I had turned it down.
Right.
And then you say that to somebody in Europe and they go, oh,
you
know, but it wasn't a disrespectful thing. It was just me saying, look, I think I built up
I
to I don't want to have to put a logo next to it, you know, to ensure my name. It was brave, but that's me. Mike did, which was respect, was he would still give me the same promos that his DJs are playing. Because he knew that I was no nonsense. I would go out and I would rock his records, and I would come back, and after I get a good rest, I would go down to Submerge, and I'd tell him, I said, this one worked, that one didn't work, this one was boo-boo, you need to remaster that. And I give him the whole lowdown on how the crowd reacted and all this after 2 or 3 gigs. So it's valuable information.
Yeah.
And it didn't, you know, faze me at all. I was happy. I was getting UR white label. You know what I mean? So for me to go and test this stuff out, heavy artillery, I got Jaguar. I still got the white label. You know, I was the first one to play it in London. No, you know, sorry, Rolando. Yeah. He was somewhere else at the time, and Mike gave it to me. And I dropped it.
Amazing.
You know, and it went nuts. You know, I told Mike, I said that's off Amazon, that's Strings of Life, and he was like, you think so? I said, dude, that's a record that will never come out of people's boxes.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's still in my box. I got the live version. Did you ever hear the live version?
Yeah.
It's done by, I can't remember what they're called, 12, I can't remember. The live acoustic version is absolutely fantastic, yeah.
But you know, that's how you do it. You have people who support you and respect you, and you know, it's a mutual thing. Then you have people who hate on what you do, but if you spend time worrying about people who hate what you do, then you're wasting your own time.
Come on, man! If you drag about too much negativity in general, then it's going to be it drag, like you said, drag around. Drag down. You're spending all that time you could be spending on being creative and doing something new and taking the next level. You're worried about the next man.
Jay-Z said, on to the next one.
Exactly.
I'm still hip hop too. Don't get it twisted. I'm still hip hop too.
Okay, so let's wrap things up. What's on the horizon for you?
On the horizon, we are. I've been holding on to these songs so long. We have a release from Orlando Vaughan.
Okay.
On Subject Detroit.
Yeah.
We have a release from Fabrice Leg. Right. With a remix from me and from Aaron Carl.
Right.
And then we have, hopefully soon, we have a Ben Sims on Subject Detroit. But it was so funny. He gave us tracks, and then he wasn't happy with the tracks he gave us, so he took them back.
Were you happy with them?
Yeah. But you know,
come on, dude.
But what I want from Ben is something.
Let it go, man. Come on.
I told him what I want is something that he's not normally used to doing.
Yeah.
So it takes a while for somebody to step out of their comfort zone. And he realized, he's like, well, you know what, I can step further out. So let me take these back, put them here, and I can, you know, let it fly next time. And I really dig that. So we got those coming out. We have, I'm gonna do a double album, which is gonna basically, like, I'm almost drawing a line in the sand and kind of daring a lot of Detroit guys to stop making
Detroit sounding stuff.
Thank you. And move forward, yeah. So one album is going to be Detroit stuff, and the other one is going to be
moving forward,
ridiculously progressive.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
What's the best way to get people? What's your website, just so people know?
SubjectDetroit.com, DJ-Bone.com, because there's a fake DJ Bone out there, and I'm gonna run up on it. Facebook, DJ Bone 313, Twitter 313, DJ Bone 313. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, and Ben Sims, come on, we did the interview skip. What's the best way to get you on the net? Senor Sims.
MySpace/Theory Records.
There you go, you heard it first. Maybe you didn't.
EssexRascals.com.
Yeah, Essex Rascals. If you haven't caught their radio show, their internet radio, you have to, because it's about music. People get all bent out of shape, or people kind of figure out it doesn't always have to be techno, it doesn't always have to be electronic, it's music.
It shouldn't always be techno.
Okay.
Come on, dude, it'd be boring for 2 hours. You know?
So check them out, Essex Rascals. I check them out.
Okay.
I do, yeah.
DJ Bo,
hey, thanks.
Ben Sims, an absolute pleasure. See you all.
Tronique.